Looks like we're recording and live, so we're good to go.
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome to the Monday, May 3rd, 2021 meeting of the Dennis-Yarmouth Regional School Committee. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First, before we go to the first item on the agenda, I do want to take a moment and recognize Jim Dykeman, as this is Jim's final meeting with the school committee. His term is coming to an end, and so I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Jim, for all your years of service to the school committee, to the finance committee, as treasurer, and all the committees you've served on. I've been on sick bank and policy with you. You've done finance and capital, and I don't even know what else. You've been on negotiating teams. You've dedicated countless hours to this district and this community, and we're all very grateful for your service. I don't know if you want to say anything. I'm sure others want to thank you as well. Jim, you need to unmute. I think you should be able to. There you go. There you are.
Okay. I'd like to thank the voters of the town of Dennis for giving me the opportunity to represent them on the DY Regional School Committee for the past 21 years. It's been a great privilege and honor. I also would like to thank the residents of both towns for their support of our students in the district. Last but not least, I would like to thank my fellow committee members, both past and present, as well as Carol, her staff, and the other administrators I've had the privilege to meet. It's also, I might add, been a privilege to get the opportunity to meet the student representatives. What a fine group of young people these young adults are. And with that, I'd like to say thank you, and it's been an honor.
Phil?
I can't say enough about the opportunity to work with Jim over the years. I think he has the hard-earned title of the longest-serving member of the DY Regional School District. There may have been people back before regionalization who served longer, but I don't think of anybody serving more effectively. Got to see him in action in so many different venues, and his keeping his cool and coming up with cogent ideas and a sense of humor. For example, I recognize Jim Dykeman. Everywhere I go, I see him, I recognize him. But in actuality, and he always gives me the same smile as if I just said something terrible. But in actuality, it's pure pleasure to watch him in action, and it's great to watch him in action helping people make a decision. He does his homework, and he does it with a sense of quality as a human being. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Phil. It's been a pleasure.
Joe Tierney.
Thank you, Jenny. Yes, I'd like to echo my sentiments. Congratulations, Jim. You taught me so many things over the years that I've been here, and I admire everything that you've done over the years. I think you've been definitely been a strong piece of the success in this district, from the budget fights that we've had, left and right, to you standing your ground on different subject matters, and I admire that. I think I admire that. I think it's a great thing. I too have funny stories. My first meeting, I think when I was elected, I sit down at the table and back then they had coffee and cookies and stuff, and I sit down with my coffee and my cookies and I sit and I wipe my hand across, and there goes my coffee all over Jim. Literally spilled it all over him, and he kind of just looked at me and smiled and kind of was like, "You're the new guy. We'll let you roll this time." But again, Jim, thank you so much for your wisdom and always being there. And best of luck to you and your family. You've put this district on the map. So thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Joe Glenn?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm kind of set aback because I don't know how I didn't know this, but I'm sorry to be losing Mr. Dykeman here, because when I first joined the committee, I didn't think that Jim Dykeman would like me, and I barely had enough time for him to break me in. But I found him to be a classy gentleman. I found him to be someone who originally is from the same neighborhood as me. So I didn't know any of those things about him, but it goes to show that you can't judge people by looking at them. You really have to meet them and talk to them. And thank God I did. And I'm proud to say that I know you, Mr. Dykeman, and thank you for your leadership.
Well, Joe, it's Jim, but thank you.
What did I say?
Thank you.
Carol?
Jim, I just want to thank you. I know that for everyone who might be listening, Jim has dedicated 21 years of his life to the students of Dennis-Yarmouth and to the citizens of our two communities. And thank you doesn't even scratch the surface of the gratitude that everyone should feel for your service, Jim. I've always been able to count on Jim for the last 16 years that we've worked together. He's been a sounding board for me. I've been able to call him up and ask him, what do you think about this or that? And he has done the same. He's called with his questions. He's called with his thoughts and ideas, and I found them invaluable. And Jim, as many of you may or may not know, it was at one time a CFO of a few hospitals, I think. But his background in finance was invaluable to us. And that's why having him serve as a treasurer on our capital committee, on our finance subcommittee, et cetera, has been so very helpful over the years. So Jim, you absolutely will be missed. And again, I always say hello to your lovely wife, Rosemarie, who was at one time a school nurse for our district, and a fine one indeed. So enjoy your time with your family, because I know that's how you want to spend it. You have a fine family, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Jennifer?
So we've only worked alongside each other for a couple of months, but your expertise and knowledge has been something that I've looked up to in the last 3 months. So I want to thank you from being a committee member with you. Additionally, from a parent's perspective, 21 years, my daughter's 21. She graduated from DY. So you've been her sound and voice for the last 21 years. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. For myself, again, I didn't have much experience, just like Jennifer. I heard some pearls of wisdom on the sick bank, but that's limited and far in between. But I just want to say that anybody who's willing to give 21 years of service, their time away from their family, and their time and attention, deserves the greatest applause. That's really fantastic. And there's definitely two types of people in the world, and the ones that give and that take, and clearly you're one that gives. And I want to thank you for making this district what it is, and hopefully I'll have an opportunity like anybody else to be of service to the people I live with for that long, and the kids in the district. So thank you.
Thank you.
truly a voice of reason and a voice for our students and our voters. So you will truly be missed, as everyone has said. And I know that you're going to stick around and help us with a few things here and there, and we appreciate that. So thank you. Our
Thank you.
first official agenda item is the recognition of Daughters of the American Revolution essay winner, Maritza DaCosta. And I see her in the list of participants, so I'm going to move her over so she can.
A short little introduction.
Carol, I'll give this to you. Yes, please.
Wait till she's in the house. There she is. Okay, so the Daughters of the American Revolution allows each, the chapter for Cape Cod allows each school district to select a citizen, an exemplary citizen, a good citizen from their school community. And this year, Maritza was the Dennis-Yarmouth High School's nominee. Once the students are recognized as a good citizen, they're invited to write an essay, which will go toward possibly a scholarship. And so Maritza was one of the good citizens, and she wrote an essay entitled Our American Heritage and Our Responsibility for Preserving It. I had the good fortune to go to the event last week and watched as all of the high schools, both public and private, on the Cape celebrated their students. And then lo and behold, we found out that Maritza won first place for her essay. And we're extremely proud of her, and it's a wonderful essay. And so I thank you for allowing her to come tonight to share that essay with you, because I think you too will be very proud of our student. And I know her family is. Her mom was with us at that event. And so I'm going to let Maritza unmute herself, and hopefully we can hear her essay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So the prompt that I was given to write the essay was, how do the combined actions of so many good citizens keep our nation moving forward? And this is my essay. For countless citizens, our American heritage embraces our history and conflicts. From the colonist struggle to gain independence from the British Crown to the Union's battle to abolish slavery, we celebrate the valiant efforts of Americans who consistently met adversity, yet had the determination to overcome these threats to our nation. Beyond preserving these moments in history through honoring memorial days and protecting historical monuments, our duty as the new generation of good citizens is to not only remember where we came from, but also understand why we must follow in the footsteps of those who came before us in order to be partners for progress. If you want to know your future, you must look towards your past. Our nation has a rich history of outstanding citizens who devoted themselves to making this country better. Their actions were influenced by the founding fathers' call for the creation of America. Our nation was constructed with the goal of freedom, the land a safe haven for the multitude of diverse backgrounds that would inhabit it. With this in mind, it is vital to not only emulate the actions of our predecessors and act as a unified front to solve the pressing issues within our nation, but also set an example for future generations and underscore how the combined selfless acts of our citizens have kept the country united and continuously moving forward towards freedom. The motivation, or the why, of any good citizen parallels the fervent passion of Thomas Jefferson drafting the Declaration of Independence. With each stroke of this founding father's pen, Jefferson intended to rewrite the lives of every American citizen hinging on the single ideal, equality. It is this foundational principle that acts as the driving force behind all good citizens' actions. Being mindful of Thomas Jefferson's assertion that all people possess the certain inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, we aim to uphold this with every challenge we face. We protest for people of color to demonstrate that discrimination against race and ethnicity is intolerable. We champion for LGBTQ rights to underscore the notion that judgment based off of sexual orientation is unacceptable. We advocate for religious tolerance to instill the belief not only that acts of terrorism are not a characteristic of a certain religion, but also that basing the amount of respect a person garners simply because of their faith is deplorable. We combat the injustices that plague our country daily and strive for equality because we will never reach the goal of our society, never preserve our American heritage, never continue to move this nation forward towards freedom until we are all equal. What makes the United States special is that we ultimately wield the power to destroy America from within. So in our quest for equality and focus on freedom, we find that the only way to propel our nation forward is to use the very resources that are inherent in our heritage, our liberties and rights. When freedom of speech or the right to peaceably assemble are utilized to help others, the unified actions of these good citizens not only highlights the strength in consolidated dedication and service towards a common goal, but also sets the precedent for moving our nation forward towards freedom in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. I would also ask Marissa, would you mind very much telling everyone about what your future plans are when you leave DY this year?
Sure. So for my next 4 years, I'm planning to go to Cornell or Vanderbilt University, majoring in biomedical engineering with a concentration in targeted drug therapy and a minor in global health.
So no grass growing under this young lady's feet. Marissa, we're very, very proud of you, and thank you so much for taking time tonight to come and share your wonderful essay with us. It's just, I can't say it enough, but one of the things that I've missed about all the in-person stuff is really being with our students. And you guys are just amazing, and I wish I could see you more often. I turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That was an incredibly well-written and well-read essay. I'm so impressed, and I thought for sure I was going to hear about a future in government, but you know, what an amazing future with your studies and already knowing your concentrations and already having such a vision and commitment. So congratulations on this award, and really kudos to you. That is an incredible essay. Thank you so much for sharing it with us tonight.
Thank you guys for letting me read it.
Have a good evening. Thank you. All right. Our next agenda item is the discussion of the AGO bid protest, decision, remand, and the building committee recommendation. So Joe, and I think I need to move over Peter. Peter McNulty and Chad. I'll let you take it away, Joe.
Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, so some good news and some news that we need to do a little bit of homework and take a couple votes on to clarify things. But the Attorney General's office bid unit not awarded us, but voted in favor. He ruled in favor of the district as far as the CTA construction bid protest, which is good. There was a remand where the AGO's office wanted us to just reaffirm our vote in our feeling that Commodore Builders, who we selected, who this board selected, is going to be the contractor of choice. So we just before this meeting at 4:30, we had a building committee meeting where we discussed it for about an hour about a couple of different things that the AGO wanted us to kind of go through and reaffirm. So we did, as a building committee, took 2 votes. One was to reaffirm our vote that the Commodore had previous experience, project experience, and that also the pending litigation that you've heard about was not going to be an issue. So we did vote in favor of reaffirming that, and that's what we take to the full committee. I do have Peter McNulty and Chatter here on the Zoom meeting, and I'd like to turn it over to Peter just to kind of go through what we discussed. We did have Commodore in the meeting, and they did a great job at kind of leading us through of some of the things that that we needed to discuss. So Peter, I don't know if you have an overview.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman, and thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, just to go back and I apologize to the members of the committee that also serve on the school building committee. You're going to hear this spiel again, but we were successful. We got a favorable decision from the AGO denying CTA's bid protest. There was a remand for two purposes. Number one, the AGO is requesting or remanding that the district should evaluate whether Commodore has the relevant project experience and whether it complied with mandatory disclosure requirements in submitting its bid. And that's more specifically in regard to litigation that may or may not have been disclosed on any filing made by Commodore, and specifically the DCAM update statement. And I should mention to this committee, and you may see them, Chair Landers, in the waiting room, there are 3 representatives that may be here from Commodore. We have Rich Luke, who's a principal at Commodore. We have attorney Michael Roach, who's in-house counsel with Commodore. And we have outside counsel attorney Andrew Whalegum that are likely with us. I can't see those names, but I suspect they're there and available to answer any questions that this committee may have for them, subject to the chair's discretion. Distributed prior to this meeting, submitted, I believe, last Friday, crafted primarily by attorney Whalegum as a submission explaining in response to these allegations that were made by the bid protester at oral argument on April 12th, and in initial memoranda and supplemental filings, which the district then responded to, and Commodore did as well for that matter. And I'd just like for the record to read, we'll start with a similar project experience. And this is from the RFQ that was originally put out by the district. It says, similar project experience. Please provide the names, description, scope of work, original contract sum, final contract sum with explanation, and date of completion for each and every similar project undertaken by the firm in the last 5 years period. For purposes of this RFQ, similar projects shall mean public projects subject to the requirements of GL Chapter 149 with a construction cost of at least $35 million, period. For purposes of this RFQ, similar projects shall mean projects where, number one, the respondent was a general contractor, preferably on a public building construction project in Massachusetts. Number two, the respondent's contract was for a similar dollar value as the work of its trade as stated in Section 1C of this RFQ. And number three, where the project was of similar size, scope, and complexity as this project. That's the first portion of the remand from the AGO's office. Commodore has provided in depth previously and in this submission to this committee their feelings on what their similar project experience is, and gave an excellent explanation before the school building committee, as Joe mentioned about an hour ago. Second portion of the remand is regarding the omission of material litigation matters. And again, for the record, reading from the RFQ, legal proceedings are defined as follows: provide information regarding each and every legal proceeding, administrative proceeding, and arbitration pending against the general contractor. And I believe that there were 3 matters that were pending against Commodore that were called out specifically by the bid protester, which they have responded to in this filing. And in addition, provide information regarding each and every legal proceeding, administrative proceeding, or arbitration concluded adversely to the general contractor within the last 5 years, which relate to the procurement or performance of any public or private construction contract. This language in this particular section of the RFQ was tortured extensively through various filings made by the protester and rebutted by the district. It's clear to me that there are 2 buckets of legal proceedings that needed to be disclosed. Number one, anything that's pending, any and all. And number 2, actions that were concluded adversely to Commodore, number 1, and number 2, that also relate to the procurement or performance of any public or private construction contract. As the contractor has described in their filing, and again, just to remind Madam Chair that they're here to answer any questions, they have no adversely concluded actions against them. And many of those actions, or at least some of them, which were objected to by the bid protester, have nothing to do with procurement or performance. there are some cases that we rely upon when it may seem that certain litigation matters were omitted, either whether the committee finds them material or the awarding authority finds them material or not. The first is called Fordyce versus Hanover, which is then quoted in New England Carpenters v. Ware, and you can see those as footnotes in the filing. Thank you for supplying that to Andrew Wilgum, which states rather conclusively that this committee, as the awarding authority, has broad discretion to waive any requirements that is in the RFQ regarding the disclosure of pending litigation, even if, and Fordyce is illustrative in this matter, even if the committee finds that that was intentional. And I'm not saying that's the case here at all. I'm just saying that the case is even stronger than the fact pattern that is before this committee here today. So that's a basic overview of the two points for discussion that the AGO would like us to have, or would like the committee rather to have a discussion regarding. Vice Chairman Tierney is absolutely correct in the two votes that were taken and should be mirrored by this awarding authority, subject to motions. And any questions, we're happy to answer them to the best of our ability.
So the first vote would be on a motion to affirm that Commodore has the relevant project experience.
Correct.
And then the second vote would be on a motion to affirm that there was no material failure to disclose litigation.
Sure. Here's the way we phrase it, Madam Chair.
Please, yes.
The SBC. Vote to reaffirm the exercise of the awarding authority's discretion to award the project to Commodore, despite any omissions of legal proceedings in Commodore's submissions to the district. Sort of a catch-all vote.
And that covers both or just the second?
That covers the second.
The second. Okay. So the first one we still need separately to
Yes.
affirm that they have the relevant project experience.
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion? Phil Morris.
I would move the motion to reaffirm the choice of the project construction company, Commodore, and I don't have quite the tail on the final wording phrases that.
So this would, Phil, this would have to be the first motion, which would be to
Right,
confirm
right.
that they have the relevant project experience.
That is correct. That's my motion.
Okay. Does anyone
Second.
second that? Seconded by Joe Glenn. Thank you. So discussion on that. Everyone should have gotten that letter, which did set forth their project experience. If anybody has any questions, I'm sure I can move somebody in from Commodore to the panel to discuss it. Joe, Tierney, you wanted to say something?
Yes, thank you, Jenny. Yeah, Commodore did a really good job at our school building meeting as far as a similar project experience. You know, they recited a number of different projects they did, from small to very, very large projects. You know, some were schools, some were dorms, some were fire departments, some were, you know, other different things. All, you know, successful projects. You know, one of the things that I believe Commodore just didn't have a lot of experience with all facets of this, but they had experience in every single piece in one building project or another that they've already attained. So they have the experience to do our project. You know, although it might not have been in one single project that they've done, this is going to encompass a lot of the stuff that they've done before. So I am confident that they have the relative experience to provide our service and build our school.
Thanks, Joe. Joe Glenn, hand raised.
Yeah, just a quick question for Joe Tierney to you, Madam Chair. Joe, what was the vote for the school building committee on both motions, please?
Yep, both motions was unanimous. Nobody voted against it, so both motions were unanimous.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I do see in that letter, you know, that in their response, they had identified 12 projects, at least half of those public projects, and one of them was worth approximately 90 million. So, you know, it sounds like, you know, the projects that they identified are sufficient to meet the definition.
also Peter might be able to explain better, but I believe the school district or the school committee, which is us, has the leeway to, to choose who we want, basically, not who we
Right,
want.
yeah,
but,
Peter did say we can waive certain things, so.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think we're waiving anything, but if we wanted to, we could say, well, yeah, they don't have the experience, but we're going to choose them anyways. But I don't believe that's the case. I believe that they do have the experience, and that's why we chose them down the line. One of the things that I expressed to some of the guys from Commodore when we met for the groundbreaking is the fact that, and Cleon Turner can attest to it, that this whole system, as far as choosing a contractor, is flawed. I mean, because we can't see, Jenny, you had said it before, we can't see all of them and put them in front of us and say, well, we want to choose this one over this one. We can only see one and say, yeah, we'll choose that, but we don't know kind of like what's behind door number 2, so to me, it's kind of a flawed situation, but in the end, I think we've definitely got it right here. So,
Peter, did you want to add something to that before we take a vote?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to point out that we're, in many of the filings that were submitted to the AGO's office, there was a leaning on the supposition that the next highest bidder, in this case Commodore, was required to meet all of these requirements, pardon the redundancy, in the RFQ. But the word is very clear in that paragraph I read earlier, which is preferable. Preferable. So preferably, the respondent was a general contractor, preferably on a public building construction project in Massachusetts. So not only does Commodore have that experience, but that points to the discretion that is afforded to the awarding authority, both under the RFQ and as a matter of law.
Great, thank you so much. Is there further discussion on the first motion? Phil?
I just want to echo my support, not only for the motion, but for the work that our attorney, Peter McNulty, came forth with. It's gotten so complicated that lay people on an elected board need the guidance to keep things straight. And it's really gotten so complicated and full of legal entanglements if you don't do it correctly and get advice on how to proceed. So I'm very confident of our efforts, and I want to thank those people who have advised us along the way. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. All right, I think I'll do a roll call vote on this if there's no further discussion. Zane?
Affirm the vote.
Jim?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Joe Tierney?
yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Joe Glenn?
Aye.
And I vote yes. So the first motion passes unanimously. So then the second motion, Peter, do you mind reading us that second motion again, please?
Sure, of course. Bear with me. Okay. If the school committee votes to reaffirm the exercise of its discretion to award the project to Commodore, despite any omissions of legal proceedings and Commodore's submissions to the district.
Does someone move that?
I'll move that motion as stated.
Thanks.
Second.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All right, discussion on the second motion, please. Joe Tierney?
Thank you, Jenny. Again, this was one of those things. I think when some of us got this, we're like, what the heck? Didn't we just go down this road, before? And why didn't they disclose stuff? And why, we don't want to do this again. But again, Commodore and Peter made a very good explanation of what it is, and as he stated in the RFQ about the legal proceedings. There were 2 items in there that were really stuck out, and those are the pending litigation and the concluded litigation, the adversely concluded litigation, of which there was none. There was no concluded litigation that was against Commodore, and the only pending litigation was not necessarily had to do with project. As you probably read through the documents, and I'm sure Peter or people from Commodore could attest the fact that they were just they weren't really relative to they were just named in different litigations. So, and also when we decided that CTA was not a responsible bidder, and then we went and we chose Commodore, we were able to look and see, and we all saw the number of pending litigations on that DCAM report, and those were there in front of us. So we saw all those before us. So I don't believe they were hiding anything from us, because they didn't feel, according to this RFQ, that that they needed to do that. So I'm confident that we did the right thing here.
Yeah, again, everybody received that same letter with the explanation, and it includes the definition that Peter just went over of legal proceedings. So pending proceedings or concluded adversely to the contractor. And as you can see, Commodore has 0 proceedings that have concluded adversely to it. And the pending proceedings, there were a couple about mechanics liens. There was one which was personal injury by the employee of a subcontractor. One was and then one of them I think was like a slander or defamation case or something personally against an executive of the company. So everybody got that information in that letter. Joe Glenn, your hand is raised.
Yes, Madam Chair. From Mr. McNulty, is there an appeal process? And my main concern is this doesn't disrupt any of Commodore's progress. It doesn't slow anything down. Does it have to go back to the AGO's office? Or once we make our decision here tonight, we're good to go?
Yeah, Mr. Glenn, it's an excellent question. There is an appeal process. It's through the Superior Court. It's a 30-day window from the time the decision comes down from the AGO through which the bid protester can appeal. We have no indication that that's going to happen, but that is a live possibility. Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, discussion? All right, I'll do a roll call vote on the second motion, please. Zane?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Joe Tierney?
Yes.
Phil?
Phil Morris says yes.
Joe Glenn?
Aye.
And I vote yes. So second motion passes unanimously. Joe, you wanted to add something?
Yes, just real quick, just in finalizing all this, I just want to really, give my applause to Peter McNulty and Rachel Mills from our attorney's office. He's done a great job at guiding us through this, as Phil said. I have a feeling when he walked into this, he's like, this is going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be easy, but it definitely wasn't. And he made it seem easy, but I'm sure it wasn't. So I'd like to thank him and Rachel for all their help in this. So thank you.
It was a pleasure working with everybody, truly.
Good. Thank you, Peter. Thanks, Chad, for being here with us tonight. So we will move on to the innovation pathway presentation. And let's see, I need to move Amy, Lisa, and Dale. And I will turn it over to Carol. Are you introducing this, or is it going right?
Sorry, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. There was a lots of information in the packet, but this is pretty exciting for Dennis-Yarmouth, and I just want to thank these folks for all their hard work on it, because without them, this would not be happening in our district. So they are to be congratulated for their hard work that made this a reality. I'll turn it over to the team.
Carol,
Thank you.
do you have the PowerPoint, Carol?
Are we able to screen share?
That's a question for Lisa. Lisa, can you allow who has it? Lisa Fetty? Or?
Yep, I have it ready.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get her all set up. Hold on just a second, please.
Thank you.
Okay, you should be able to screen share. Let's see, hold on, oh, wait a minute.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm here. And I'm going to try screen share now. Still disabled.
Okay, hold on. Try it again, please.
No problem. Yep. And I'm going to just put this on present. All right. Are you able to see the DY Advantage screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm going to get us started. Again, my name is Lisa Thady, and I'm the School to Careers Coordinator for the high school. I'm joined by Dale Fornoff, our Guidance Department Chair, and Amy Chassie, our Science Department Chair, who are also going to be presenting with me this evening a brand new designation that Dennis-Yarmouth Regional High School received by Governor Baker and Polito for an innovation pathway in healthcare and social assistance. We received this designation in early March, and most recently, the governor has been sending out PR notifications. Maybe you've seen them in the local papers or on capecod.com. So we thought this was perfect timing to come in and share with everybody our newest designation and what it entails. So the Innovation Pathway designation in healthcare and social assistance was granted by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in collaboration with the Center for Collaborative Education, and it is a 5-year designation. The lead applicants on the application were, of course, the district, ourselves in the Guidance Department, the College of Career Readiness Program, and the Guidance Department, along with the Science Department, of course, in collaboration with Mass Hire, Cape and Islands Workforce Development Board. Mass Hire had to be one of the lead applicants as they have strong connections with employment pathways in our region. In addition, we have 3 lead industry partners who signed a memorandum of understanding to partner with us to provide classroom support, professional development training, internship, and a college and career readiness development for students and staff, really, over the course of the next 5 years. So we want to, of course, thank and acknowledge all of our partners who have agreed to take this journey with us, and then also recognize that we have existing and long-term relationships with many employers in the healthcare and social assistance fields on Cape Cod who can also partner with us over the course of 5 years. But these 3 partners took a lead in helping us develop the program and gave input along the way. So we're very grateful for them. So what is Innovation Pathways? It is part of DESE's High Quality College and Career Pathways Initiative. So as you know, our work-based learning program, our School to Careers initiatives have been in existence for 20, 25 plus years. So we have a very good and long-term understanding of what college and career pathways is in our community. However, DESE is working to increase the quality and really engage the industry around us into connections with the high school and to continue to develop secondary and post-secondary partnerships. So we have a long history, but we will continue to grow and we will continue to strengthen and deepen some of those relationships and make stronger connections to the classroom prior to graduation. All innovation pathways in Massachusetts are constructed to align with local, regional, and state economic development plans. So we, of course, worked with Mass Hire, Cape Cod, to identify which of the innovation pathway opportunities had the greatest in-demand employment opportunities for our students in our region. And that is one of the main reasons that we selected healthcare and social assistance, because of the job opportunities and the job shortages or the job gaps that exist in our region, and the need to train students in high school to prepare for those jobs either after graduation or shortly after graduation, after obtaining some industry certifications and some advanced degrees. There is also a strong emphasis on a scope and sequence of coursework, technical coursework, academic coursework, and advanced coursework, which we will talk about more specifically in the next few slides, to prepare students academically, in addition to having some experiential education, to hopefully either achieving some industry recognized credentials prior to graduation, or again, shortly thereafter. So as you can see, we have a photo of a student in one of the DY classrooms, and we feel that this is an advantage to prepare students for the workforce needs in our region while in high school, so that they can make informed decisions and transfer successfully into the industry of their interest. There are 5 guiding principles that all innovation pathway programs have to have, and one of them is equitable access. So this program is open to all students, and there are multiple entry points or grade levels that a student can enter this program if they are interested. There's guided academic pathways, scope and sequence, which we have added into our course of studies, so all students and families are aware of these opportunities. We have enhanced our student support services through guidance and counseling, and of course the College of Career Readiness programs, to allow students to access and succeed in these programs. There's a strong connection to career partnerships and effective partnerships. Capstone projects and internships are all part of the long-term goals of the Innovation Pathway program while the students are in school. So this is just a timeline of the activities that we engaged in order to receive this designation. In addition to Amy and Dale, we had support from other guidance counselors, the entire guidance department, as well as the administrative staff as well, to support us with the application materials. And of course, the other members of the science department, in addition to Amy, were all involved at various times developing the program requirements and the application materials. This opportunity was presented to me by Tara Galvin at the Mass Higher Workforce Board on Cape Cod last spring. I had my initial meeting with Desi to learn about the pathways that were available to us in our region. And then we began meeting and planning over the summer months to identify, Dale and I, to identify the program of studies we were going to go for. And we selected healthcare and social assistance at that time. And then we brought Amy on board and we started working on the planning grant materials. We did receive a planning grant funds in the amount of $23,105 to develop some initial curriculum and to purchase some initial equipment to begin implementing in our program next year. So we're very excited about that opportunity, and Amy's going to share with you how we spent that money in a little bit. We then submitted Part B designation in early February. We completed an interview with Desi and the collaborative in March, and we received our designation on March 10th. We hosted our first information night along with the 8th and 9th grade school counselors for students and parents at the end of March. We purchased our equipment. It's already been received. And we, to date, have 13 students who are enrolled in the program. There is a cap per year for 15 students, so we are close to reaching that cap before the end of the year. And we are working on an implementation grant to continue to enhance our curriculum and coursework. And Amy is going to be working on developing a new course over the summer. And we are just pleased to announce that our first cohort is going to begin next fall in September. You can see we received some wonderful notifications and letters from Charlie Baker and Polito, along with Commissioner Riley regarding our designation. So we're very, very proud of those achievements. And I'm going to turn it over to Dale to talk specifically about how our program enhancements will look.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dale Fornoff. I'm the head of the Guidance and Counseling Department. And this certainly has been quite the ride. Beginning last spring and all the way through the summer and into the fall. One of the reasons that we, in conversation with Lisa, myself, and Dr. Funk, we really kind of focused on our science department because we felt that that program had some unique pathways already built in that we were already utilizing. So we've had a coursework of studies really quite designed already for our students that wanted to pursue the medical field. You heard that from Marisa today, as she's going to go off to either Cornell or Vanderbilt to pursue biomedical engineering. But one of the things that we had to look at was we really looked at our core courses, our electives, our career technical education, our honors and AP coursework in both science and psychology. And we wanted to really gear on that and enhancing that curriculum for our students. So as Ms. Fady mentioned, as our students go through this process, they're going to be looking at creating a new advanced anatomy and physiology, preparing them going on into that AP bio or AP chemistry work. We already are a mass core school and have been for most of my career at DY. We've been engaging in our AP courses, and really we have been increasing those AP courses over each year. What we're going to now enhance is we're going to have that National Health Science Assessment and Curriculum, that Reality Works curriculum alignment to these courses, which really puts our students on pace to align the science courses, our biology, our anatomy, so that they're meeting up with these standards. And our hopes is that when they finish that advanced anatomy, that they will be able to receive this National Health Science Assessment certificate and proficiency. We've always had opportunities to earn college credit through dual enrollment in AP courses, but this is now part of that pathway where these students will have to take some advanced coursework in order to complete the pathway. And as I mentioned, it's going to prepare them for that certification exam. This is going to be a free certification exam for our IP students. So our students who go through this coursework will still be eligible to take the exam, even if they're not an Innovation Pathway student, but it will be free for those students because, as we mentioned before, the access and the equity is a big part of this program. And it actually intertwined quite nicely with our EOS program already, our Equal Opportunity Schools. And we really saw a lot of the connections that intertwined with it. In order to even begin this grant process, we had to have what was called the MyCap, which has been something that's changed names for the last few years. It was an ILP. The state has changed their acronyms quite a few times, so forgive me if I mess up, but I'm trying to keep up with them as well. But the MyCap is a series of school counseling academic advising that is aligned with ASCA, which is our American School Counselors Association standards. Lisa and I and the rest of the guidance counselors have gone through the trainings so long ago that we had to remind them of what we've been doing. When we presented to DESE what we already do as a school counseling department, we actually got some favorable emails back saying, how is that working? Or does that work okay? They were so impressed with what we were already doing that they waived any requirements to continue with any other trainings for the MyCap. Our college and career readiness curriculum is aligned with DESE's career development, as well as connecting with those ASCA standards. And that's been something that we're quite proud of at DY. I will share, I feel we're the best school counseling department on the Cape, and I say that very proudly. Our collaboration with Mass Hire and the Workforce Board and our industry partners, as Lisa mentioned, that's been 25 years in the making. It's enhanced every year. We're very fortunate to work with Kara Galvin. She's been excellent. We also work with other components of Mass Hire, and they've just been really a great partner with our school counseling department. And finally, you've heard a lot about our work-based learning program, and you've heard a lot about our senior capstone. Well, these students, these 13 students, what's a little bit different is this isn't a work-based learning internship. This isn't that they go out a couple hours a week. And this isn't a capstone project where they have some other programs. This is a 100-hour internship in the related field. And you might ask, why is it capped at 13 students or 15 students? Well, having our industry partners, they have to commit to having these students for 100 hours in a semester, which is an awful lot of commitment. So we can only limit to the amount of industry partners that we have, and that's why they cap it at 15. So as we get going with this program and we keep increasing, our goal is always, we understand that some students are going to stick with it and some may add to it and some may leave us. But we want to make sure at the end of the day, when they get to that senior year, that they're going to have the availability of one of our community partners to be able to take them on for a 100-hour internship. And we're really very excited about the opportunities that those students can have. I do want you to know that this doesn't mean that you have to be in an IP to do an internship. It doesn't. We will still have opportunities for internships in all different career fields, but this is specific to these students as to the course work of studies that they will be doing, their pathway that they will be taking, and their final end result of this 100-hour internship. So I believe our next person up to bat here is Ms. Chaucy, who's going to talk about how we've used some of the planning grant funds and how we've enhanced already some of our curriculum.
Thank you, Dale. For everybody, my name is Amy Chaucy, and I'm the Science Department Chair at Dennis-Yarmouth Regional High School. I teach anatomy and physiology and infectious disease. And I had absolutely perfect internet until it was my time to speak. So I hope that I'm good to go for my part of this. I apologize. It just said that I was unstable 2 minutes ago. Anywho, I get the fun part of this. I got to spend a lot of money, and I get to develop and teach these wonderful students. So this is so exciting for me. But a couple things that you see here that we purchased with that $20,000. So we did purchase a curricula from the National Health Science Consortium that is going to be embedded into an honors anatomy topics course. And that will be a course in addition to the anatomy and physiology that we already offer. And it will specifically catch up on some of those skills-based things that the students are going to need to pass that course and be prepared for their capstone. So some of the physical new pieces of equipment that you see here, so I'll go top to bottom. So what you see Victor using there is a digital microscope. He's one of my infectious disease students. So they had cultured and gram-stained some bacteria in a case study simulation. They have a patient that they take through surgery who has some complications, and they have to do some antibiotic testing and find a course of treatment. But they are able to use this microscope to magnify bacteria to 1,000. And then it comes up on that iPad that you see he's holding. And then you can save and edit images of that. So it's really a fantastic thing to use in multiple classes. The second picture, which you see Caroline using there, is a three-dimensional neuron. All those pieces come off the board, and there's an app that goes with that that's interactive. So that particular board is going to be used not only with our IP students, but with our neurological disorders students. Infectious disease and neurological disorders are two of the 4 classes that we offer through Tufts School of Medicine's Great Diseases Project. We've been partnering with them for about 4 years now. We have a great partnership with them. Our students are, besides infectious disease, neurological disorders, biology of cancer, and coming next year, metabolic disorders are all part of the Great Diseases Project. And then the final 2 that you see here in the picture are some of the sims that we're going to be introducing. So the third picture you see is a blood pressure arm. that links to an iPod Touch, so I can control the vital signs and change it, and the students have to listen to the vital signs on the mannequin. It's really fun. And the bottom one, the last one that you see there in these pictures, I didn't take pictures of everything, but these were kind of some of the cool ones, is an interactive airway trainer, again, for resuscitation. We also received some other anatomical models that we use in anatomy, biology, and then of course, the honors anatomy topics that's going to be developed specifically for our healthcare students. As Ms. Fornoff mentioned, we purchased the exam fee. We prepaid that for 5 years of our students to take any and all certification exams that they would like to take. And then we will also be purchasing some professional development for myself and for another 2 teachers. For example, we need to go and take not only CPR, but being able to teach CPR appropriately. We need the appropriate certifications for some of that we're going to be introducing into the courses. So that's in general what we are using this first round of grant funding for. And we hope that next fall we can come to you again and report on some more grants that we are currently pursuing to continue to make this this course and this program as fantastic for our students as it can be. If we want to go to the final slide, I'll introduce that, and then I think we'll take questions. So after we interviewed and recruited some of our first 13, we received this email that kind of just, you know, this is why we did it. I guess this is why we did 2 years, many, many hours of grant writing, brutal grant writing. But this is it. This is why we do it. That we're going to have students like Marissa, and this is this is a mother of a young 8th grader who's going to be starting with us. And we really hope that this is something that the district is going to be proud of, that our community is going to be proud of, and we're going to be watching our students go and make a real difference in fields that will not only provide them excellent careers and employment, but will make such a difference for our community and our world, especially in this time. So we thank you very much for allowing us to share with you what we've done, and we'll take any questions that you may have.
One thing I just want to add too, I do want to thank Emma Ethier, one of our 8th grade science teacher, as well as Katie Glasheen, our 8th grade guidance counselor. They were very integral in the recruitment process of the program and the presentation, and being able to really discuss it with students and getting students excited in class and connected to applying to the program. They both did an excellent job, and they were a great part of our committee as well to make sure that this program runs successfully. So again, if you'd like to ask any questions, I think all 3 of us are happy to answer.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think Phil Morris raised his hand, and then Joe Glenn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I listened to this presentation, I'm reminded of the number of times I have sat in professional development presentations on issues of science curriculum, new technology integration, counseling improvements, professional development for staff, career planning and support, use of grants and innovations. No matter how good you do, I know you're going to top yourself the next presentation. I find such innovation, such motivation to be so innovatively. I look for ways that I can be supportive in a more innovative way than just sitting at a meeting, voting or asking questions. Thank you so much for what you all are doing. And it just reminds me that once again, is evidence I was born too soon.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Joe Glenn, and then Joe Tierney.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And even with the technology glitch, I didn't know a computer can tell you you're unstable because because mine would have said it a long time ago to me. But thank you so much. I think Phil used the exact right word that I was going to use. And I believe it's true that you are the best guidance counselors and guidance department anywhere, not just on the Cape. And I think that was indicated from the state. But your innovative ideas from the capstone on down and all of these things, and I like that you were looking at the 8th graders and kind of ramping them up. And that was my question, which I think you might have answered in the very end there. What cohort are you using? Is it just going to be one grade? Is it going to be just freshmen or what the like? But you can answer that question, but just thank you so very much. Keep up the great work.
Sure, I'm happy to answer that question. We will start it's an 8th to 9th grade program, and that's our first cohort, but there's another entry level after 9th grade. So they can enter the program and apply again into the 10th. And then again in the 11th, but it is really starting with this class of 2025 as our first group. So that year of grad will be that first group of students that'll go through the IP pathway. And from that point on, they can enter, 2026 can enter, but 2025 can enter in their sophomore and junior year.
Dale, do you expect that they'll expand it, or you'll be capped at that 13 or 15 number?
I think we'll be capped the first year, Joe. I think as we move forward and hopefully, I think our hopes is to gain more industry partners and eventually be able to increase that number. But that 100-hour internship really can limit as to on Cape Cod. Remember, we're dealing with a couple other issues when it comes to that, especially in healthcare. You have a lot of HIPAA issues. So you have to make sure where they'll allow you into that placement. COVID's really put a damper on a lot of our ability with internships. So we're really hoping to see that grow. But we really have to wait to see what our industries in the community can handle. But that first year, we've got to keep it a cap at 15.
Yeah.
Right. And the only thing I wanted to point out too is that I meant to, as a former EMT and CPR instructor and AED instructor, but also knowing that our number one employee on the Cape is in healthcare, and our number one industry as a whole is healthcare. So you're right on target, and I think it's perfect. But thanks again for the presentation.
I just wanted to add, the emphasis is on high quality. This isn't about quantity. It's about in-depth, high quality experiences. And that is why the 100-hour minimum is on that capstone project for this particular pathway. So I don't foresee it increasing, but there is room to allow multiple entry points. If we don't have students retain from year to year, we will try to keep it at that 15 per year per class. But at a certain point, a student may not be able to enter if they haven't completed all of the required scope and sequence coursework. So at some point by the 11th grade, end of 11th grade, it will be hard for a student to enter for the first time, but that's where we will certainly help students with our regular and ongoing college and career readiness initiatives that we have always had and internship experiences on a smaller scale.
Great, thank you.
Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Dale Fornoff was wondering, she said she thinks that it's the best guidance counselor group on the Cape, and I'll be here to stand for you to say they are the best on the Cape, hands down. I've talked to a lot of different parents in different towns and things like that, and they always say that we have the strongest guidance counselors and the strongest teachers on the Cape. So, hats off to you. And this is just one example of this. I mean, and she said it also, the fact that, when the state calls you for advice on a program that they're developing that we've been already doing, we've been doing this. We've been doing pieces of this, and, it's just, it always seems like we always set the bar really high, and just keep setting it higher and higher, and our students just achieve better and better, and that's what makes this this district great. So thank you guys both for, not just both, all of you, for your efforts in writing these grants and getting this designation, and having this for our kids. Also, the partners that you guys have partnered with. You know, this is a community effort. This just isn't, you know, Lisa and Dale going out trying to find a couple people to help out. This is big, and it takes a lot. 100 hours is a lot of a commitment for different agencies. So thank you guys again. I just have one question as far as the grant's concerned. What happens down the line? Is this something we can sustain a program like this, or how is this working out? Do you have to apply every year, or is it a 5-year kind of thing?
It's a 5-year designation, Joe. Of course, there's annual reports and data required to maintain the certification. But I'm not exactly sure yet after 5 years if we could reapply, or we just continue to do what we've been doing. And the hope is that maybe we'll explore other pathways in other industries over time as well. We want to get on the ground with our first class and our first pathway, but there are other pathways that we could seek in the future.
Great. Well, thank you.
And we're starting those discussions already, but we've got to make sure this one gets off the ground and gets moving. And you know, remember, the grant money was really to implement. So to get our curriculum in line, to buy some of these nice new toys that you guys got to see, you know, and that career technical education, that hands-on piece is really the part that I think we need to highlight the most. Not just the hearing and seeing, but the doing, and being able to really get in there and get some real life experience working through some of these you know, programmatic pieces, and gaining some industry certifications. That's why our teachers are going to get certified to be able to certify students in CPR. So that's a piece of that as well.
Great, thank you.
Jennifer, Rose.
So that was such a thorough presentation. Thank you so much. I had so many questions when I was first going through the initial letter, and then once I went through the PowerPoint and you all just explained it, it just answered so many questions, especially what type of internal resources needed to occur for this program to take off. So with the professional development, that was just like one of the key points that just kind of popped out to me. And I just can't believe how amazing it is that we're going to have DY graduates, you know, leaving with credentials and certifications. That's something that's really, you know, not happen so much in our type of district. So I applaud you guys for the presentation and all the hard work and efforts, and thank you.
Carol?
So just sort of, I guess, unless there are more questions, to kind of wrap it up, first, certainly thank you to Dale, Amy, and Lisa. I think what Jennifer Rose just mentioned was really key to all of this, is that back, and now I'm going to sound like you, Phil, back in the day when I was in school, I took girls auto mechanics. Yes, it was called girls auto mechanics. But there's something missing in today's academic high schools, and it's time for students to have many more hands-on experiences. Certainly, kudos to Amy as leader of our science department, many of our other departments, technology and so on. People really try hard to make sure that our kids have hands-on experiences at our high school. But for a long time, I will say that Mr. Jenks and I talked about the possibilities of what we could do. And it's Mass Hire now, used to be the Cape and Islands Workforce Investment Board. When I first came here, I joined the Youth Council because we were looking at graduation rate statistics and trying to improve our graduation rates and our dropout rates and things like that. So it's been a long-standing partnership that we've had with first Cape and Islands Workforce Investment Board, but now Mass Hire, and a lot of partnerships. And these guys make it look easy, but they've put in hundreds of hours of work to make this a reality. Reminds me of one of the things that Ken used to say to parents as their children were joining the high school: whatever your student wants to do, we can get them there. And so we're trying to take that and always push that even one step further. And as far as industry partners go, I would say success breeds success. So one of the things that I know Lisa has noticed, and certainly Dale and the rest of the high school team, is that the partnerships that she's made with various businesses to get our kids into school to career things, internships, etc., has really blossomed. And it's because when our kids go there, they do such a great job. And so then an employer says, well, I'll take 2 kids next year because that one student did so well, and it keeps growing and growing. So really kudos to the team for all the hard work, for listening to all the crazy ideas some of us have sometime, but we don't do the work, do we? We just try to support you in the best way we can, and we can't thank you enough. Thanks.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you all for your presentation tonight. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
We are going to move the agenda to reports from our student representatives, please.
So as I'm sure everybody here knows, this was our first day back of everybody full in person. And it was so nice. There was some of my friends I haven't seen in a year and a half. And it was so great to be able to see them. I had friends just kind of popping in, saying hi to different teachers, just being able to see people. It felt really good. Even though if the school day was hard, talking to all my peers, everybody was just focused on being able to see their friends. For the people who were full remote, actually be able to see their teachers sometimes for the first time in person. And it was just really nice. And spring sports have started up, which is, again, very exciting. Another way that we get to see our friends and stay active. And everybody's in high spirits right now. Tynan?
Yeah, just to like piggyback off of what Grace said. I like first period when everyone was coming in the building, I was like, wow, there's so many students. It was really insane and like so uplifting and everything. So that certainly brightened up my day. Also for the news, the Esports Rocket League varsity team has made the playoffs for their 2nd consecutive season. And they're going to play Monday, May 10th at 3:30 against David Prouty High School from Spencer, Massachusetts. If you want to support them, you can watch them live. That's Monday, May 10th at 3:30 at twitch.tv/DYRHS esports. Also, some band and guard members are recruiting for their upcoming marching band season. They're hosting tech nights at the high school for percussionists, guard, and wind players. And there are even some high schoolers that are driving to Matakees and playing in their jazz band and teaching them guard after school. And that's all from us.
Tynan, I'm glad you mentioned that. My son is at Matakees and plays the clarinet, and I got to see a video of them playing last week, of him playing with the high school kids, with Mr. Pendleton conducting. It was awesome to see. So I love, those, when we can do crossover projects like that between the schools. I think that's awesome. I'm glad to hear you guys are back and that it went well. Anybody have questions for Tynan or Grace? Awesome. Thank you both. Reports from liaisons to the boards of selectmen. I guess for Dennis, I'll just say we have our town meeting coming up this Saturday at 1 o'clock. So we'll all enjoy spending our Saturday afternoon at town meeting, and our budget is on there, of course. So Phil Morris is waving his hand frantically.
Yes, question about, I've realized that you can't speak at town meeting unless you're a Dennis resident, or the moderator puts it to a vote and it has to be unanimous. However, we do have a long history of our Dennis members of the school committee going to Yarmouth town meeting and the Yarmouth members going to Dennis, if nothing more than to support each other. So I know they're taking precautions based on COVID, but I would be interested in wearing a mask. If I have to wear it over my whole head, I'll do that as well. But whatever works, we'd like to be there to be supportive.
Thanks, Phil. It is outside again in the parking lot at Wixon, as it has been the last couple of times. So I don't know. Last time there was plenty of room. I don't think there's an issue, but that's great. Thank you. Joe Glenn, hand raised.
Yes, just quickly on Yarmouth Board of Selectmen. Joe Tierney did inform the selectmen about the bid protest information that he had at that time. But the other information in regards to the school was that, or the district, is that the warrant was passed. The override was recommended by the Board of Selectmen. But in Yarmouth, remember that May 18th, the election, the annual town election, which includes that override question, is on the ballot with the school committee, selectmen, and housing authority votes. But it's before this year. The Yarmouth town meeting is also going to be outside on the 22nd. So the elections May 18th, and the town meeting is the 22nd at Matakees outside. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Joe, I assume we're good for building committee.
Yeah, we pretty much exhausted that whole thing. Although we did have the groundbreaking last week. It was a beautiful day, a windy day. It was as Carol said, it was a great day for DY. So again, it was great to see everybody there. It was well attended, and we're off and running. So, if anybody has any questions, as far as what's got, we see it on Facebook and stuff, what's going on, but if there's anybody who has any questions that you might not be able to answer, just point them my way and I'll do my best to get them answered for them. But I want to make sure that everybody's informed and has the right story instead of what they think it might be. So thanks.
Yeah, I think everybody's question was, what happened to all the trees? Everybody was driving, down Station Avenue wondering about the trees. And as soon as they saw all over Facebook, our groundbreaking ceremony, they were like, oh, that's what happened to all the trees. So it definitely happened very quickly, that clearing over there. And it was a wonderful groundbreaking ceremony. So thanks to everybody who put that together. Carol, your report.
Yep. Mine is going to be a couple minutes of rehash of almost everything that's been said tonight, but I'll say it anyway. On April 13th, I did present the budget to both the towns of, to Dennis Selectmen's meeting and the Yarmouth Selectmen's meeting. I thought it went very well. I believe they were in support of our budget requests, and it sounds like things are moving forward with our two town meetings. As everyone said, last Friday was the groundbreaking for the new Dennis-Yarmouth Intermediate Middle School. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I thank everyone who took time out of their busy schedule to participate. As you can see, if you pass by Station Avenue, work is underway, and we look forward to watching the continued progress. As Grace mentioned, and Tynan too, today was the Dennis-Yarmouth High School welcome back to 5 days of in-person learning per week, and all the students in the school who are back in person are based on family choice. Some students continue to be educated remotely, and we're proud to say that as a district, we've beaten all the timelines that were set for us by the Commissioner of Education for bringing students back for in-person learning. In fact, the high schools did not have to even do this until May 17th, but we thought it best if our kids could get back to school sooner. And so I want to send out some kudos to Paul Funk and his team, because they really worked hard to make sure that this could happen. So we're very happy to have our students back in person, and we'll just continue to work as hard with our students who have continued in remote learning as well. This week is officially Teacher Appreciation Week. At DY, we call this Staff Appreciation because staff members who work with our students are educating our students despite no matter what their title is. We thank our staff members who work daily to improve and support the lives of our students. Our staff members have had a steep learning curve since last March when we left school for full remote learning. and another heavy lift to return back to the classroom this year, with some students learning virtually, some in person, and some with a mix of both. So I'd like to share this quote from the National PTA. Their immense work and impact have provided a much needed sense of community and connection. So I'd like to thank our staff members by sharing just a short video, and I do mean short. Let me grab it here. Oops. Okay, let's see if I can make this work.
Eyes up, hearts up, mind sharp, compassion on full blast. Okay, let's go. More than 1,500 K through 12 schools across the country plan to shut down.
We're now at a point where the appropriate path is to close schools.
I'm going to try my best not to get emotional during all of this, but our district is going to be closed for the next 6 weeks.
In case someone is watching this video from the future, there is a pandemic happening and schools all over the world are closing down.
I'm gonna have to pack up all my stuff and I am going to head home.
All right, you're headed out. Hopefully you'll be here sooner rather than later.
Wow, this is not a break, guys. This is a time in which we are starting to figure out what remote learning could look like.
It's not a job that easily translates to working from home. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this?
How am I going to teach social skills over the internet? Some of my students don't have internet.
We're all overwhelmed right now. We're all working from home.
Welcome to my makeshift teacher desk area. I'm sorry for the mess.
Multitasking in my pajamas. I have been working on distance learning plans every waking hour.
All right, so I'm about to go in and start my first online lesson. This feels weird. I'm so nervous.
Hello, sir. I think your microphone is off.
Good morning. Week 3 of digital learning has begun. Oh, stop. They could not even see today's work yet.
I know what you're going to say. It's not working. Don't give up, guys. Don't lose hope.
Then you're going to click go live.
Good morning, pumpkins. Today we're going to read another couple of chapters. Here is the data.
That's one less thing we need to tell.
Welcome to band.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie, that just lifted my mood like exponentially doing something for my kids. I miss them and I miss teaching.
I've gotten a couple emails from parents and good morning, thank you for the video. She misses you too. We'll keep in contact.
I feel like it's been a positive day of quarantine life and distance learning.
I almost have 100% participation, which I really didn't think was possible.
Day 2 went much better. Day 3 went much better. And so we are doing the very best that we can.
I hope you know, teachers, that you, my beautiful friends, are enough. Whatever instructions that you're providing, whatever tools that you're giving your students, it's all enough.
See you soon.
Bye, guys.
So I thank you for letting me share that short little video. I just want to send out my sincere thanks to all of our staff members who every day are making a difference in the lives of our students. And to top it all off, at the end of this week on Friday is School Lunch Hero Day. And you know how I feel about our school lunch heroes. So I hope everybody knows that the staff has worked really super hard this year, probably harder than most of us have worked in our lives. But our kids are all worth it. And you can see that even in a pandemic, look at that great program that we talked about tonight. We're not letting any grass grow under our feet. We still keep moving forward, and it's for the kids. So that's my report for this evening, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It's good to have all this good news tonight. Let's see. All right, so we are on to the consent agenda. And we have a donation in the amount of $419.12 from the DY class of 1958 to the DY High School. 8 donations in the amount of $890 from the Bradford Hemian Memorial Fund in memory of Elizabeth Betty Hemian. A donation of building materials valued at approximately $1,500 from Shepley Wood Products in Hyannis to the Emmy Small Elementary School preschool program, and a donation to Emmy Small of 2 bags of potting soil and over 200 packets of assorted flower and vegetable seeds from Airway of South Dennis. And we are really grateful for all of these donations. Also on the consent agenda are the minutes of April 5th and April 12th. Does anyone move the consent agenda?
Move the consent agenda.
Moved, seconded. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. All right. So on to, and you do have in your packets, let's see, calendars, bills, information items, a letter about the mud kitchen built for the Emmy Small program by the Cape Cod Tech Carpentry students, the statement of interest from MSBA, and NEASC Commission on Public Schools Special Progress Report for the high school. So we will move on to public comment period. If you'd like to address the committee to comment on items on the agenda or items within the purview of the committee, please raise your hand. Once I call on you, identify yourself, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Let me see if anybody has their hands raised. I don't see any hands. Carol, do you see anything? Okay. All right, then that's all we have for this evening.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Right. Thank you, Jim.
Yes, thank you, Jim.
Thank
You.
Thank you, Jim. Not Mr. Dykeman.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.